The value of this confession, any confession, is inseparable from the motivation behind it. If there's one thing we know about Armstrong, it's that everything is always on his terms.
Unfortunately, I think we got the interview that we were all expecting rather than the interview that we might have hoped for.
She didn't give him an easy ride. Armstrong didn't show much emotion, and I think some people are confusing that with perhaps Oprah Winfrey going easy on him.
Oprah clearly did her research and was, prepared with the questions, but there were no follow-up questions, so Armstrong was able to dodge a lot of those issues.
He didn't really tell us anything new, but nevertheless it was great to hear it really, from the horse's mouth at long last.
A lot of dodging of responsibility on the stronger issues. So yes, I took EPO. There was no names. He didn't say any other cyclists were doing it, but he talked about it enough for you to be left with the impression that everyone was doing it. He was just playing the game.
For all that he did say, I think what's more significant is what he didn't say. Obviously you'd expect Lance Armstrong, his famous legal team, to come very well prepared, and he clearly did.
He admitted to bullying Betsy Andreu but wouldn't go into any details. Obviously there's some sort of legal ramifications attached to that.
He was asked about the hospital room with Betsy Andreu and Frankie Andreu and his admission that he'd taken EPO and other performance-enhancing drugs anyway before his cancer, and he just flat refused to answer that question and deal with that issue.
He also didn't talk much about Michele Ferrari. He defended him at the beginning of the interview, and this is the doctor who has been disgraced numerous times throughout, both in the courts, and through the press for his association with drugs.
Then when it came to forcing his teammates onto the programme, bullying them, that all was played as if, oh, they might have interpreted it as bullying, but that's not really how I meant it, and you didn't have to take drugs to be on our Tour de France team. But that's really not how the rest of the information has been delivered from every other source. And I think that was the ultimate problem, really, is that we didn't get any new information from this interview. We just got the same stories, and we got the Lance stage-managed version of those stories that we'd heard from the 12 other teammates.
There definitely seemed to be a very sharp awareness of the statute of limitations. He refused to really talk about anything to do with his comeback, anything post-2005.
It was interesting as well that he said when he was accused of cheating, he admitted to taking all these performance-enhancing drugs, but when he was accused of cheating, he really qualified that. And it's clear that he doesn't believe he was cheating, because he does believe that everyone else was on the same programme. He said he had to look the definition of the word cheat up in the dictionary, which is pretty extraordinary.
He wished that he could have his time back again, and if he did so, he wouldn't have made his comeback in 2009. Basically, he said that if he hadn't made that comeback, he wouldn't have been sitting with Oprah Winfrey in that room last night, confessing to all of these allegations and these charges, and there really was no hint of remorse there at all. It was almost as if he was thinking like a schoolboy who could have got away with it.
For him to deny it, that he doped during his comeback tours, particularly 2009, when there's evidence and expert opinion suggesting that he was using blood doping during that Tour de France, for him to deny that is really completely unbelievable at this point.
The only way that this was going to do anything for anyone other than Lance Armstrong, and certainly the only way it was going to do any good for cycling, was if he would have opened up more with the sort of information that people want to know. Who were the doctors? What did Johan Brunel know, the manager? What did the sponsors know? What did the UCI know? And did the UCI play any role? The UCI has issued a press release today saying that the interview basically vindicates them, and on face value it does.
I think he's keeping his powder dry at the moment, didn't want to reveal his plans, certainly in yesterday's segment of the interview. He said repeatedly that I'm no fan of the UCI, though he did say that his donation to them had nothing sinister attached to it. I'm pretty certain that Armstrong will be using these next few weeks to build a case against the UCI and perhaps testify against those at the top.
Perhaps the only chink of light was the suggestion that he would take part in the truth and reconciliation process if one comes to pass, but that does still seem a way off, and even then it seems a bit of a stretch to imagine Armstrong revealing everything that he knows. He's had his opportunities to do that.
There's one good thing that could come out of this. It would be to clean up cycling above Lance Armstrong and to to shift the war on doping from targeting individual riders to looking at the larger conspiracies, the larger accepted practices, and to building a new sport from the top down with an independent anti-doping commission and a governing body in the UCI, or perhaps an all-new replacement in which people can really trust.
Winfrey's influence in America is so great that America tends to follow her lead in things like this. It's happened in the past when she's interviewed disgraced politicians and sports stars, movie stars and rock stars before. And if she shows a tiny bit of sympathy or compassion towards him, then you never know, Armstrong may be able to begin some sort of an unlikely rehabilitation process.
This Oprah interview, it's inevitable that it's part of a bigger plan that serves Armstrong's own interests before any others, and that it's simply the last option available to him to facilitate a comeback to some sort of sport, whether it's triathlon or marathon, and above that, the ability to earn money again.